On the telephone line with me right now is a gentleman that is world-renowned, and I mean that literally. Mr. Jim Brickman, and we're going to talk to Jim Brickman right now. Jim, welcome to the Ray Carr Show.
Thanks, Ray. How you doing this morning?
I am fantastic. Jim, you're from Cleveland, Ohio. More specifically, is that Shaker Heights? Am I correct?
Yeah, I grew up in Shaker Heights.
And your musical career, according to the information that I have in front of me, really started to take off around 1994. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I was living in Cleveland most of my life. I was in the advertising business. I did jingles for TV and radio commercials, and then in early 90s, I moved to Los Angeles to kind of try to find what I was going to do with my musical life.
The holy grail of music, yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I just knew that I wanted to do something more, and so I just started to pursue all kinds of different avenues. And really where I landed was being able to record my own music and make solo piano albums, and that really started with getting signed to Windham Hill Records in 1994.
You've done so many. You're a tremendous songwriter, a great pianist. You're probably the number one adult contemporary artist in the world, bar none. And that's that's a lot of accomplishments. And your gold and platinum albums are synonymous with your greatness. And you've worked with such artists as Lady Antebellum, Johnny Mathis, Michael W. Smith, Martina McBride, Donny Osmond, just to name a few. Where do you come up with the inspiration to write your music, and how did all that start for you?
Well, most songwriters, which is really what I think of myself as a songwriter, really take your inspiration from a culmination of the world around you, your experiences growing up, the things that come naturally to you. And I always say that no really great creative ideas come that are forced to come. They really do have to come naturally. So as soon as I started just playing my heart, instead of playing what I thought was cool on the radio or thought I was supposed to or something like that, that was really when I think my true identity started to show through my music. And it's not something that you can really describe, other than you have to really just be honest about it and just let yourself go and not analyze or judge. You just have to let it be what it is, and then hopefully people connect to it.
And a lot of people have connected to it. That's certainly 100% of there, because I, as a local DJ, and I do travel a lot, and I play a lot of your music at wedding receptions and what have you, and people just love your music. I mean, you change lives with it.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I believe in hope and promise in music. I want it to connect in a really positive, emotional way, so that when people hear it, it changes a mood, or it soothes, or it relaxes, or it inspires. Or I always think that that's the power of music.
Is that what you normally go into? Like you'll be sitting at the piano, and something will come into your mind, and it just, do you think about what that is going to project to an audience, or you just write down what you feel at the moment? I mean, do you look into that next level?
Well, when I first started, I didn't think about that all that much. I just wrote. I wasn't thinking about how people use it. But then after 20 years of making albums and touring and performing, it's very hard not to think about that, because you know that eventually what you're doing is going to be consumed. And so you can't take that out of the equation. I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, you just have to do. You can't be thinking about how people use it, but you kind of do, because in essence, you are making a product, and to try to pretend you're not isn't accurate. Then you should just do it for yourself, or put it on your shelf, or play it for your family. But knowing, you can't take out of the equation knowing that it's going to turn into something that's going to be consumed. So I do think quite often about how somebody might use it. So, for example, if it's a song that has lyrics, because I write songs with lyrics and then a lot of instrumentals as well. But if it's something that is a love song, I can't help but think about, is this a good wedding song to dance to, or is this?
Wow.
It doesn't. I always think about the use. Is this something that is poignant? Does it have a place? It's just the way my mind works. For example, right now I'm writing Christmas music, because that's when you do it, is in the summer. I have a Christmas album coming in this year, and so I think about how, what the tone of the whole album experience is going to be. Is it going to be melancholy? Is it going to be bittersweet? Is it going to be happy and all joyful and lighthearted? And so you do have to think about the tone of what you're doing and how it's consumed overall. I mean, that's way more technical than I think some artists might say, but it just, after 20 years of it, you can't pretend that that's not how it's used.
Right, exactly. Jim Brickman, our special guest, superstar extraordinaire, songwriter, pianist. Jimmy, you really do it all. Can you run down a list of things that you actually do here? I mean, you do so much. You write jingles. You just do so many things that it's.
Well, I don't write jingles too much anymore, but I do. I do host a syndicated radio show every week. It's a 4-hour weekend show that's syndicated. I've been doing that for 18 years, called Your Weekend.
What's that like? So, I mean, tell us a little bit about your radio show.
I love it. I learn something all the time. I have wonderful guests on a wide range of subjects, whether it's health and wellness, or celebrity news, movies and television, food, money, pets. It's a wide range, and I always learn something, which is why I do it, because when I walk away from it, I think, I didn't know that, and it's important to keep learning. So I do that. I'm working on my third book right now. I just started, and it's a book called Soothe, about my challenge to unwind and relax. Even though I'm known for writing music that people relax to, I'm not as relaxed as I think people think I am. So I'm attempting to do that, and I'm writing about it. And so the book and the radio show, and of course touring. Above all of any of these things, I love to perform more than anything else. And to me, that is really my calling, and my stock and trade is performing.
Well, your concert's coming up at Kane Park in Cleveland Heights on July 19th. Is that correct?
Yeah, the first time in a very long time that we've played outdoors in Cleveland. Last time was Blossom, and it was about 10 years ago. So I'm really excited about performing at Kane Park. I grew up going to theater at Kane Park, and a lot of my friends were in shows at Kane Park, so I have a really wonderful memory of the experiences there, and very much looking forward to Kane Park and our fan club event. We have a whole weekend that weekend called the Brickman Bash. That is, we invite people from all over the country and locally in Cleveland area to join us for 3 days of concerts, get-togethers, and it's really going to be a good time, something we do every year.
Yeah. Kane Park is really a great place to see a concert, and it's really wonderful that you're going to be able to do it from there, because a lot of people locally are huge fans, and it's going to be quite an event. That would be July 19th. Jim, what else is on the agenda?
Well, again, I've been working on the book mostly right now, and again, doing quite often. I do the radio show, of course, every week, and I'm recording a Christmas album. So right now is a fairly busy time, considering the fact that I'm kind of off the road. I have 2 tour dates, but always looking to grow and to learn and to create something that maybe I haven't created before. This is always the artist's challenge: is to continue to do what you're known for, but always to get better and to learn how to things you don't already know. So,
what are some of the things in the last couple of years that you learned that you had no idea? I mean, like moments go, oh my God, I never knew that about the music industry, or something came upon you that you just said, that's unbelievable. Well,
there are nuances. I think at this point, it's more like subtle things, but the things that you learn on stage all the time. There are things that moments that go by that if you really notice, you learn. I'm much better these days at reading the audience. I think for the first part of my career, I didn't really understand. I think that I would go out there and I didn't have any training in live performing.
Okay.
So I would just go out and play and talk to the audience, and I developed a style in doing that. But what I never did was to, let's say, videotape the show and then watch it back or listen back, to it. And then I started realizing, gosh, you said always 20 times, or you repeat yourself, or you talk too much, or all of these things that you don't really realize when you're in it. And I've become much more aware of the environment that I'm in. Thinking about stuff like, is it a rainy or snowy night, and did people have a hard time getting to the theater? Did they, what type of energy? You have to learn how to read the energy, and I think I've become much more
in tune with that. You're connecting with your audience. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt like I do, because it's just the nature of the way I perform is very conversational. But I continue to learn and grow as a performer, and so that's an important part of it.
Speaking of concerts, Jim, are there any genres of music that you would like to, try at a concert that you're kind of reluctant to do?
Well, I've always been interested in theatrical experiences, so I go to a lot of Broadway, and I'm very enamored with musicals that are well done. So that's a part of, I think, my future is writing a theatrical show of some kind. I don't know if it's going to be based on my music or whether it's going to be new things that I'm going to write. And then lately, for some reason, I've been having this desire to learn how to play the guitar.
Wow.
Because everybody always says to me, well, you must play all kinds of instruments. And I think, no, I don't play any other kind of instrument. And so I don't know, I thought in some ways it's kind of like people saying, I've always wanted to speak French or something. And so it's kind of hanging around there. I'm not sure that it's going to happen anytime soon, but when the right thing comes along and one of my friends says, hey, one of the challenges is that your fingers have to, I use my fingers so much that it's hard when you start playing because you start getting calluses and everything. But So that's something. It's not a very lofty ambition, but it's something that I enjoy. And then traveling internationally, I feel like I've always traveled internationally to perform, but I would like to do more in different parts of the world that I haven't been. I spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia. I went to China on tour for the first time this past year, but there are some places in the world, I haven't performed quite that often in Europe, so that sounds like something I think I would want to pursue. But so yeah,
very interesting.
Always a lot going on.
Jim, I was thinking, noticing your performance and your style and your talent. How about acting?
Well, the best character that I play is myself. I think I'm better at playing him than I am. I've never been really attracted to playing another character.
I understand.
I wouldn't discount it if the right type of thing came along. I would, of course, I would consider it if he was if it was something that I could relate to. A piano player or something like that. So yeah, I would consider that for sure.
Where do you want to go from here, though? Where do you want to take your musical career? You've done so many good albums. I should say they were great albums, and there will, I'm sure, continue to be great. But have you ever wanted to kind of delve into maybe the swing, big band, or rock and roll? Something like that. Have you ever wanted to dabble in that a little bit on some of your albums?
Well, I'm enamored of that era, and I think it would be fun for a night or two. I'm not passionate enough about the genre to make it, make a tour of it or something like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, because I'm a songwriter more than a musician, I don't have the same sensibility that I think a lot of pure musicians have. I think there's a real distinction between being a songwriter and being a professional musician. Even though, of course, I'm both to a certain extent. My whole approach is to storytell and to write, and so it'd be fun to write in a bunch of different genres. But as a musician, I think more musicians have a desire to do things like that and say, I've always wanted to play this style or this style.
Sure.
And really, I think of myself as a songwriter. So to me, it's about challenging myself to write in a style that I haven't written. So right now, pop music, where pop music is going, I've been writing in a very contemporary style, and some of the things that I've written are I don't think people would expect came out of me.
Okay.
Very contemporary pop songs. There's a brand new album just coming out on iTunes today called Jim Brickman and Friends.
Oh.
And it's all pop songs with different singers, but if you hear them, you would just think you might be listening to the pop radio station. It's not. You would never think, oh, this is a Jim Brickman song. So I think stretching is really important in a lot of different areas.
Yeah, testing yourself.
But yeah, and then it makes you feel good because we all need to challenge ourselves in some way, and to try something that we haven't tried before. That sense of accomplishment is universal when you try something new. So that's always important to me.
Yeah. Jim, I agree with you. I think that's the only way to keep getting better and getting better.
Yeah, it is. And it's hard because we all get mired in kind of the day-to-day, and sometimes we don't know what that is that's coming, or we think, I don't know what I want to try. Not that I'm not willing to. I just don't even know what it is, and that can keep us from fulfilling and pursuing dreams of sorts. But you have to try to be in tune with it and just think about, what does my gut say about this? Mm-hmm. So I try to follow that. Sure. It doesn't always work, like all of us, but it's nice to pursue.
Jim, how can people get a hold of you, and how can people learn more about all of your accomplishments and all your music?
Well, all the social ways. My website, JimBrickman.com. I have Twitter, @JimBrickman. I'm on Instagram, @TheReal Jim Brickman.
The Real Jim Brickman.
Yeah. As opposed to the imposter.
The imposter. Okay.
I don't know.
That's funny. But people can get a hold of you that way. It'll be on my website, raycaram.com. You can link to all that stuff there. And Jim, I wanted to, this is a question I was going to ask you early on, but I thought, we got into some other topics. But you've experienced enormous success. How do you handle that and keep yourself grounded?
Well, part of it is challenging because it's like it's a little bit of an addiction. Like, to me, touring and performing is a very addictive thing if you enjoy it the way I do. And usually the problem with any addiction is stopping doing it, because what happens is you realize that, in my case, that life for the most part is not a tour bus and a theater and that kind of bubble that you're in. And then what happens is when I go out into the real world, I start to have a lot of anxiety. Like, I go, into places and I realize I haven't been in a mall in 6 months or 8 months or something like that. So sometimes it can be challenging that way. But I'm so thankful and appreciative of it. I really try my best to think about the connection that the music makes, and that I was really meant to do this, and that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I think it's a really important thing to think about in your life, what you're really supposed to do. So even though it's not conventional, and a lot of people sort of scratch their heads about my life, like,
sure,
hey, I'm going to stop inviting you to parties because you're just never around. You're never around. Yeah. But I really have to try to just think about the fact that without this, I would have no voice and be able to do the things that I do. So
gotcha.
Sometimes it is a little bit challenging. I was walking down the street the other day I was walked to the office in Cleveland from my house, and a couple of miles. I looked to walk outside, and I was walking. I was like in my baseball cap and like t-shirt and shorts, and I'm traipsing through some of the grass and everything like that. And a few days later, somebody stopped me. A fan of mine stopped me and said, I think I may have seen you walking through the grass or something in on the way in Beechwood, and was that you? Like, sort of a judgmental tone. And I said, yeah, it was. And she was just so shocked that I wouldn't be walking through life not looking like I do on the album cover, And
you are a person, Jim.
And I'm a person, exactly. Well, that's what I was kind of trying to say to her, but it didn't come out the right way. But I did. I said, yeah. I mean, I was walking. I was sweaty, and I was,
sure.
I wasn't getting dressed up to do that. And so sometimes they forget. Sometimes they think, oh, that's right. Maybe I should think more about the way I look when I walk out.
No, just be yourself.
Well. And I'm not. I would never change that. That's the point. Is that You have to be who you are, and just because it's something that you're celebrated for doesn't necessarily mean you have to change your life for it. So, sure. But I'm appreciative that I get to do it, and I always look forward to it. And if I didn't look forward to things like Kane Park or being on tour or writing, then I would do something else. I think no matter what it is, if you're not happy doing it after a while, you have to do something else. I
agree, Jim, and I want to say thank you on behalf of our listeners and everybody around Cleveland for your great accomplishments, your great work, and everything. So we'll see you July 19th at Kane Park in Cleveland Heights for your concert here. I'll be there, and it should be a great experience. And again, thank you, Jim. I sure appreciate your time today. Thanks a lot, Ray. All right, have a good day. Bye-bye. Talk to you soon. Okay, bye. Jim Brickman, our special guest, Kane Park, July 19th. We thank Jim for his time, his effort, and all the great stories.